Hi. Lately there's been an epidemic, a pandemic even, not that one, of people wondering, is art school worth it? And while I can't speak for everyone, I can give you a recap of my experience this past year. I'm going through the good, the bad, the improvements, the possible psychological torture, and the art hacks and secrets I learned. And you know, if you want, maybe hit that like, maybe a little subscribe. I won't tell anyone. It's free and you can always unsub later. Don't do that. This past year, I took 5 art and animation classes. You may be thinking, KO, that doesn't seem like a lot of art classes for 1 year. First, you haven't seen the things I've seen. Second, yeah, it's my first year back since I had to take a medical leave for my hand, so I had to take it easy. Unfortunately, I did also have to take some gen eds like math and science, and it's actually really interesting because the way it relates to my major will shock you. And it'll shock me because I don't know and I don't think my school does either. And I'm sure you have a lot of questions like, KO, where have you been? Is your hand okay? Where did you get that top? It looks really good on you. Where's part 2 of the blue period? Don't talk about that video. What, the blue period one? Shut up, don't talk about it. I was gonna talk about it in my sketchbook tour video. How did you get into my house? Oh, okay, I mean, as long as it's not now. Yeah. Hey, that shirt actually looks really good on you. Where'd you get it? Ah, thanks, it was actually in the men's section of Target. Concept dev. First of all, this was one of my favorite classes by far. I produced some of my favorite pieces in that class, like this. And maybe this. And it always had super fun weekly assignments. One of the things we really honed in on was drafting. There was so much dragging. Dragging? Imagine if the key to being a good concept artist was being a good drag queen.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That was a death drop. Drag queen, more like draft queen.
Oh
but yeah, drafting was key, which is, you know, essentially where you just put every single idea down, make as many rough drafts of your final project as possible. There's a ton of stuff in my sketchbook that's just figuring out shape language, silhouettes, overall vibes, which is another thing. Silhouette sketches are fantastic for character designs. They really help figure out your character's shape language and all that. Hell, I have one character that was practically a silhouette herself, but I went through so many variations of her before I landed on the final design. I feel like the more time I spend in the research/reference phase, the better the final product comes out. Like, look at that. How cool is that? I literally knew nothing about motorcycles before this because I got like a gazillion reference images for that. And then for my final, I destroyed the assignment, as in I destroyed my hand with other assignments and didn't finish.
Nice shot.
Thankfully, my teacher was very understanding and knew what I was going through, so he let me off the hook, but oh my gosh, what a mistake. God bless Professor Jim, light of my life. This was sort of a basics introduction class. It had a lot of stuff like the basics of storytelling, the hero's journey, story structure, all that kind of stuff. If you're interested in things like that, there's a ton of fantastic videos on YouTube that explain all that. And we also had to learn final draft because it's industry standard. Yeah. And the final I actually really liked too because we got to take one of our scripts and then storyboard the whole thing. Here, I know I have it. Yeah! Look at them! Look how cute these are. I really enjoy stuff like this. Wow, so cool. Oh my gosh, full storyboard. Definitely didn't do half of it digital and then swap to traditional because I was taking way too long. Overall, super fun class, especially since storytelling has always been something I'm super interested in. I even told myself if my hand just like, you know, straight up fell off or something, I'd just become a film major. You will never see me in a non-creative major. I would rather not. This one was really cool because on the very first day I missed the class, realized it was 4 hours at 8 a.m. and then immediately dropped it. Cool. Anyway. I won't talk about this for too long because it's actually a film class, which I didn't technically need for my major. I kind of impulse signed up for it 2 weeks before classes started. And from the description, I thought it was a beginner level class. Foolishly, but it's fine. It all worked out. I met some really cool people and learned I loved being on set. But yeah, I went into this class with no previous film experience and they essentially threw us right into making a short film. Not to mention I flunked the first test. Advice for art majors: make friends with all the film people. You can exploit them for monetary gain. The final I also really loved because it was essentially to make a TV show pitch and then present it to the class. Well, I liked half of that. Making the TV show pitch was fun. Presenting it? When it was the final day, I was essentially sitting there praying that we would run out of time or she would just forget to make me go up there. So our teacher was going down the list in order and it essentially went like, all right, let's see who's next. KO, you're up. Oh shoot, actually we're about out of time. We'll have to wait. Yes. So you'll be going first on Monday.
The next day.
Please forget, please forget, please forget, please forget. All right, class. Would anyone like to go first? If not, I can pick someone at random. Oh, I forgot. KO, you're first. I essentially got up there and said my presentation skills are next to nothing, however I can draw, and then fumbled through my talking points while shapes and colors wowed the audience. And I aced it.
Nice shot!
Look at this, how could you not ace me, despite having the public speaking ability of a middle schooler with social anxiety? And that was my fall semester. I had really struggled to keep up with my assignments due to my hand injury on what was essentially 1.5 art classes. So to say I was a bit worried about my upcoming 3 art classes, understatement. Storyboarding! Oh my gosh, I love storyboarding. It is so much fun, it's like my favorite part. But it became clear in that class that it's definitely not everyone's favorite. The illustrators constantly looked like they wanted to slam their heads against the wall. But storyboarding is great because not only do you learn an essential part of the animation process, but you also get way better at storytelling through your art. We had so many useful assignments like doing expressions specifically, the action sequences, and also framing. There's like way more framing techniques than I ever knew about. Here's a few of them. They're all very cool and sexy and you should look them up. In my script, right after ramble about storyboarding for a bit, I have storyboarder I hardly know her.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Anyway.
Nice shot!
My second film class, which I really enjoyed because I've only ever edited for like YouTube and TikTok, so it was super cool learning editing from the perspective of a filmmaker. Also, my final project in that class was to edit a full short film, and I was given literally hours of footage to turn into 7 minutes. And oh my god, dude, sorting footage made my little monkey brain melt. It took so long, but eventually I got around to editing everything together, and storytelling through editing is actually really fun, honestly, and kind of coincides with storyboarding class. So if you're looking for an extra class to take, try editing. At one point, I actually brought my computer to edit at a coffee shop, and then the scene I had to edit next was like 4 dudes chilling in a hot tub shirtless, and I was so scared someone was gonna walk by and think I was editing something, you know, not child-friendly.
Yes! Yes!
Art direction. Select.
Oh my god, bro.
I walk in on day 1 and the teacher is like, I lied to you, this is color theory. Yeah, turns out she came to teach color theory, but the school was like, L, we're calling it art direction to trick all the students after taking all of their money.
Yes, sir. Yes.
However, despite it not being what I thought it was a really fun class. Even though it was 3 hours at 8 a.m., the hour that did not exist before the fall. I always felt pretty energized by the end, and color theory is something I've always struggled with, so honestly, I needed it. One of my favorite assignments in that class was the screen cap assignment, which is essentially figuring out the lighting, mood, framing of certain screen caps from your favorite movies, which I had done before, but our professor told us to do it without using the eyedropper tool, which I'd never done before, and dude, I understand color way better than I ever had before. Forcing yourself to figure out how color works with each other, but without like using an eyedropper tool, highly recommend. And right before the final, I became obsessed with cowboys. So for the final, I drew hot cowgirls. Let's go, cowgirls. When I tell you I watched, no lie, 10 Western movies in the span of a week, dude. The actual assignment was to make a style guide, which honestly I didn't even know existed before this class. It's essentially when TV shows make a guide for how the style works. So like height differences of characters, what the anatomy looks like, how lines and characters are gonna look during different like action poses or motions. It's really cool. So I did that with cowgirls, and you all know I'm from the South and I already know a thing or two about being a cowboy myself. Yeehaw, partner. Plus I'm patriotic as hell. Stupid. To sum up my experience, I hate it. I would rather eat glass. Kidding. Or am I? And this class had not 1, but 2 full CG assignments per week. And this was on top of every other class I was doing. That's rigging, lighting, texturing, all of that. And if you think that's bad, there were actually 3 assignments per week. I lied to you. And I know. That sounds really bad. But I lied again, there were actually 4! Okay, yeah, it is good for all artists to know a little bit of 3D to help with like perspective and stuff, but Minecraft was working fine. Not to mention, this class was at 8 a.m. That godforsaken hour. No, okay, it actually has been pretty useful, but trying to learn that program made me lose brain cells. Every single assignment I did, I hated. The only exceptions were this cute cowgirl, because I learned how to texture things in Procreate, even though I may have accidentally forgotten to separate the hair spheres and the shoulder spheres. So they have the same texture. And my final was actually really cute too. I do really like this, but it took so long. I don't think I had any sleep. If I went to bed before the sun rose that week, I was lucky, dude. And then I would still have to go back to that class at 8 a.m. There were multiple times that week that I looked up from my tablet screen at 3 a.m. and saw the light at the end of the tunnel. I saw the gates of heaven that week.
So I got so caught up in whatever that was that I completely forgot to talk about my hand and where I've been. So to make a super long story short, when it comes to my hand, they don't know. They literally have no idea what's going on. There's one last doctor we're going to about midsummer, so I should have somewhat of a conclusion by the end of summer with, you know, whatever is going on with my hand. Don't overwork yourself, kids. Listen to your body. And as for where I've been, it was just school. I had so much schoolwork, but I'm back and I'm so excited to do more stuff. Okay, that's all. Bye!
While I can't speak for everyone on whether art school is worth it or not, I can say for me personally it has been beyond useful, and also it's the most fun I've ever had, despite the occasional psychological torture. Not to mention the friends and connections I've made have been fantastic. And of course this kind of goes for any major, but with art school especially, you really get out of it what you put in. I hope you enjoyed my silly little recap. Any likes, subs, comments really help out a lot. It costs you free, it is free, and you can always unsub later. Thanks again, bye!